Hello everyone, Steve Burns here from ChromeIllusion.com. I wanted to share with you the latest greatest product by Wacom, which is the Wacom Cintiq Companion. Now, if you have not yet heard, Wacom has come out with a full computer Windows 8 operating system that you draw and paint on the monitor with that 2048 levels of pressure sensitivity that we're as artists we're all so used to with the Intuos as well as the other Cintiqs. This is a beautiful product, I have to say. Now, this entire video is being recorded on the Wacom Cintiq Companion. I'm using Camtasia to do all of my screen recording. The microphone that I'm using is the blue microphone, the Yeti, the particular style on this one. Very, very nice. The blue microphones has several different styles of USB products, but this is the one I'm using. This one seems to work extremely well. Now, let's take a look at some of the specs on the system. Now, what's nice is the whole surface is touch activated. So I'm going to touch the option to go to my system resources. And as you can see, I'm using a Windows 8 operating system. This is the Wacom Cintiq Companion. We see Wacom's logo on here. And under the system, we have the 8 gigabytes of RAM is telling us we have a 64-bit operating system, and it's a Windows i7 processor or Microsoft i7 processor. Now, what I like to do is to talk about the RAM a little bit. I'm gonna go over here to the Surface or the desktop, right click on the desktop and click on the resolution. Okay, I'm using my stylus on this one, so the bottom click on my stylus is a right click by default. I'm using a resolution which is much lower than what you're used to. You can go up to the 1920 by 1080. I'm using a 1280 by 768 because that's the video size that I wanted to record for you guys. Now, if we go right over here under the advanced settings, we get to see the exact video card that we're using, or the graphics card that we're using. And this is an Intel card. Now, many of us are used to using the NVIDIA cards. Now, something that you should be aware of before all the criticism goes out about the graphics card that Wacom has decided to choose for the Cintiq Companion. Legally, Microsoft has restricted any company that produces tablets to Intel graphics cards. So if you were a company, you decided to make a laptop computer or a desktop computer, you can use whatever you want. We usually use NVIDIA cards. That's what I use on all my main system. I prefer NVIDIA. It's a great product. However, anything that you create in terms of a tablet with a Windows operating system on it, Microsoft has restricted all companies to use Intel processors. So that is why it is an Intel processor. Now, I go into DreamWorks and Disney as a pro artist for Wacom. I hear the complaints and the criticisms about why they use certain cards, why they're necessary for the software. So this card works great, just to let you know, and also to communicate that Wacom was restricted to the wishes of Intel. All right, so as you can see, this card is running a graphics memory of almost 2 gigs. Now, I think natively it's about 512 in the card, but is utilizing both your RAM and your graphics card resources together, which is giving you 2 gigs. For all intents and purposes, your system is seeing approximately 2 gigs. So you basically have a system here that is great for graphic works. I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to tap on OK. I'm also going to tap on OK here. And let's go in the Photoshop and let me show you what I was really impressed by. So I'm going to make a 3D environment here. I'm just going to custom create something very simply. So I'm going to target my custom options, make sure that's targeted here in Photoshop on my tools bar. I have a shape already selected. I'm going to keep what I have. Let's go ahead and draw out a vector shape. It's going to take on my foreground color. I'm going to alter that vector shape into a 3D graphic. So target a 3D menu, make sure my 3D extrusion is targeted, target create, okay? And watch how quick it is. It's just fast. I mean, when I spin it around, it's really fast. It responds very instant. And under my shapes, I'm going to target the shapes here. I can extrude them out, in or out. It's very, very, very quick. All right. So if I target the shape itself, and I can rotate just the shape itself, and it's extremely, once again, responsive. And I really wanted you guys to see just how responsive this is. So I'm going to take the width, I'm going to bevel it a little bit, I'm going to extend it out. Some of these areas are just too thin, so I'm really going to have to kind of modify the angle and modify the width a little bit so I have a little bit of a bevel. And I'm holding spacebar and option on my keyboard. You're getting a Wacom keyboard that you can get with your tablet, and I'm just using the external keyboard. If I want the virtual keyboard, I'm going to tap this little keyboard symbol right there with my finger, and I have the virtual keyboard. And we have several options. You have the keyboard symbol down here in the bottom, and you have several options and that you can use. You can even write what we actually annotate it, but I'm going to go right over here and just select this one here. I'm going to close it out. I have a external keyboard. As an artist, I prefer to use that, especially in working with 3D products and as well as Photoshop. All right, let's go ahead and target the camera. I'm going to rotate it around just a little bit. Let's go ahead and rotate it to the side here. I'm going to change the color. Let's go to red so we can see this a little bit easier. I'm going to hit the B key on my keyboard for the brush. Now, I've chosen a different type of a brush here. If I go to my brush panels, again, I'm taking my finger. I'm going to target the third icon right up here on the options bar. I'm going to take my finger and grab the top portion of the panel, and I can move the panel around. So it's all fluid. It's all hand and pen touch capabilities. So I created a symbol, actually a shape, and this is more of a dry brush type of a shape here. I'm going to click anywhere and make it go away. And I'm targeting the transfer, so I have pen pressure selected for both opacity and flow. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, take my finger and just click it there. And I'm going to just gently start to paint very lightly, okay? And press, there we go, a little light, a little harder, a little lighter again. As you can see, it's very, very responsive on a 3D object. Hit the V key so I can move the object around a little bit. There we are. And in fact, let's go to the move option right up here in my options bar and move it around a little closer. And I'm going to rotate it just a little bit. Now, what might be easier is to actually rotate the camera itself. There we are. So it's taking it around, move it to the side. Let's go ahead and change the foreground color to something like, let's go more of a green. Target it, hit the B key for my brush, and begin to kind of paint lightly, paint harder, paint lighter. It's very, very, very fast. Okay, so I'm very impressed with how well this program is reacting or interacting with the new Wacom Companion. Wacom Companion handles memory extremely well. Now, to give you an idea just how it works with standard paint layers. Now, if it works that well with 3D, then you have to assume that it's going to work fantastic with a standard layer and a paintbrush. Let's go ahead and make a brand new layer. Okay, we've got, I'm not working no longer in 3D. In fact, let's go ahead and bring down turn off the 3D object, and let's just work in this top layer here. Let's target the top color. I'm just going to use my finger to target that color. I'm using my finger to drag around on the color palette. In fact, let's go to more of a brownish color. Make it more of about kind of a brownish orangish color, right about so. And with my brush, again, making sure the brush is selected, I'm pressing light, harder, a little bit lighter, and I'm working very, very fast so that you can see what's happening here is I have this incredible speed and access to my paint tools. I'm going to go ahead and change this to more of a multiply effect, and to kind of establish kind of a lighting on the mountainside, so to speak. So I'm creating these interesting effects, or just the speed in terms of just how well the memory, the RAM, the processor is reacting to the brush. Okay, and you've got to try this. I mean, if you know a location that has a Cintiq for you to play with, most definitely I would highly recommend this. So one of my favorite the aspects of the pen is to use the top button to make my brush bigger and smaller. I'm going to target my application, which is going to be Photoshop. So if Photoshop is open, it's going to recognize it, target it. I'm going to use the shortcut and I'm going to use the top pin button here to set it for allowing my brush to become bigger and smaller. If I target modifier, because I'm working in a Windows system, so the shortcut for making the brush bigger is Alt right click. That gives me subpixel resizing. Alt right click and OK. If you're on a Macintosh, you want Option Control left click, drag left to right or up and down. You're going to see what I'm talking about in just a few minutes. So I'm going to right click for now. I'm going to grab a standard brush right up here so you can see what I'm doing here. The brush is hovering above my Wacom companion. Hold down the top button, and what we're going to do is drag left to right, up and down gives you soft and hard. Left to right gives you larger and big. So instead of using my third button here, which is the option in the bottom click for the right click, I'm using just the top button there, resizing up and down. So that's a feature I really like, and I can continue to work normally inside of Photoshop. Don't forget that it's often necessary to calibrate your screen to make sure that your pen is aligned with the aspect of your monitor at all times. Okay, so in other words, I'm going to target my Wacom properties again. Now I'm working in Windows, so your Wacom properties should end up somewhere within this interface. And if you don't find it here, you can do a search for it. So I'm going to look around a little bit, and I'm not seeing it here. So if you want to go to the direct driver, go over to the side, the flyout window, go to search. Now often you should have it listed here. Under the Windows, we should have, there it is, Wacom Desktop Center, Wacom Tablet Properties right here, and Wacom. Now this is what I'm working with, is the Wacom Tablet Properties. Under the properties, we have the Calibrate. If we target Calibrate, it's going to give you the crosshairs so that we can align the pen to the proportions in the aspect ratios of your window. Tap on right on the crosshairs, dead center with your stylus, and you're set. Now your cursor should be directly underneath your stylus. I'm going to target OK, and it's now has been calibrated. Another option is this. Right down here, we get this Wacom Desktop Center. Very cool. We can start by checking to make sure that, are there any updates? I'm going to check right now. Take my finger and tap the update, and it's saying, you know what? You're up to date. I'm good to go. I'm going to take my finger and tap OK. Orientation, I can decide to set it for left-handed or right-handed use. Your choice. I can turn the touch on and off. Of course, we can also customize the buttons on the left-hand side of Wacom Cintiq Companion as well. Pen and touch settings. I can open the pen settings. If I target this here, what it's doing is it's opening up the Wacom tablet properties. Now I'm going to do another video where you can actually go into Wacom tablet properties and set up for some customized settings that I feel is very handy. You can also find that on my website at Calibration.com. Let's go over here and take a look real quick, and make sure that you target the tutorials. I'm using my finger to touch tutorials, and I'm going to use my finger and click and hold to drag this up and down just with one finger, and you can see the Wacom tablet icon here, and that's where I've recorded additional videos for you. Now I'm doing more. Currently what you're seeing is 4 videos, customizing your brushes, downloading your drivers, updating the drivers. We even have one on the 3D pen basics. I will be doing one also on also the Cintiq Companion techniques. That's all coming. So by the time you guys get this video, we should see more options here. Okay, so let's go back. I'm just going to tap on the Photoshop icon right about here, and let's go on back actually to our pen and touch. So come in here, take a look at your settings here. Wacom has tried to make this as easy as possible. You want the cursor alignment. All this is doing is accessing your Wacom properties, okay? So user manuals, they're all here. tutorials. It takes you directly to Wacom's tutorial site, where Wacom themselves have created a whole slew of video tutorials that will help you get started. And the tutorials on my site is more from an artist point of view. Okay. All right. So hopefully that you will find this video very helpful. And feel free to email me with any questions at steve@chromallusion.com. Go to my website. You can also contact me through one of the links up here. And then you can find all my information right about at this location. All right, so Stephen Burns, I'm logging out. I hope you enjoyed this. I look forward to sharing with you some more insights into using the Wacom Cintiq Companion to revolutionize your workflow as an artist.